Good afternoon, everyone. Hey, this is Bruce Marshall from Simpler Trading with tonight's video update and market commentary for Friday, April the 12th. So we'll start here on the S&P. As you can see, if you had a chance to look at it today, we had a pretty nice jump today, and we finally got over the 2900 level on the S&P. We've been kind of toying with that level for quite a while, and it was actually good because the rest of the week, I mean, here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we just were in this complete, I call it zombie land, where there's just everything is asleep. There's just chop, nothing going on. And then we had this big pop today, and that was from a couple things. Disney announced a new streaming video content thing starting in November. Disney's a big component of the Dow, so the Dow jumped, as you can see, almost 270 points today. Interestingly, or I guess as you would assume, Netflix dropped because that's their main competitor. Where's Netflix? Netflix dropped $16. Disney up, Netflix down, but again, Disney's a Dow component, so the Dow spikes up. Also, JP Morgan reported much better than expected quarter. Big move higher in the financials. Let's look at the financial sector here, and you can see, obviously this big spike up today. And we're anticipating, of course, on Monday we've got Goldman Sachs, we've got Citigroup. Wednesday, I believe, is Morgan Stanley, so more to come next week. And we really are getting into, full-on earnings season next week, so that usually brings with it a lot of euphoria, maybe is the right word, around earnings. We've got CSX, we've got IBM, a lot of, economic sensitive names will be coming out next week, and then we get into the techs and so forth in the next couple of weeks after that. So my thought on the market, let's go back here to the S&P. So if we take a look, again, we breached the 2900 level, and let me go out here in a little bit larger time frame. I mean, as we know, this has been a just relentless higher, no matter what time frame, all the way back to the end of December, first of the year, when we, just have bounced off the bottom there and just never looked back. So if we put our old trusty voodoo lines on here, kind of helps to see where we are. And in fact, let me kind of bring this in a little bit closer. All right, so as we know from looking at this, the all-time high is right here, 2940. And guess what? It's right here. We are literally within a stone's throw of, of the all-time high. In fact, today we hit 2912, I think, on the S&P today was the high, and 2910 actually. But we could move this much in one day, and be right there. And we've got momentum on top of momentum on top of momentum on top of momentum. So, I definitely think we are going that way. And we've talked about this, as if you guys have listened to me on, doing the nightly videos from time to time. So we want to continue this same pattern. Let me zoom in here a little bit closer. And what that pattern has been is the typical, or pretty typical. We're watching the voodoo lines in different levels, fib levels and stuff like that. But as you can see, we had a hard time getting through the 2650 here, and then notice on the here's 2750, we had kind of crossing back and forth it. This is a snow line here at 2820, kind of back and forth, and that's probably what will happen here if we continue, the same way. Now, before we reach up and touch that, we might get into if you can see these kind of patterns, they've been pretty typical. We could pull back here pretty easily and then make a move up here, and this doesn't break the uptrend. It would be totally healthy for the market, and it would not be anything out of the ordinary for us to pull back. That's what, 70, 80 points, and that would seem pretty massive, right? But it's a blip compared to the 550, 60 points that we moved up already. So I personally wish we would pull back a little bit in order to kind of fill some gaps down below us here before we make a run higher. So again, we're starting really kicking off the main part of earnings season next week, and with the momentum we've had, we've got to keep looking higher. Even though the higher we go, the more nervous and cautious I'm getting. I'm starting to do a little bit of hedging and starting to watch the volatility as it has come down for some potential volatility plays on the other side, on the downside, in the form of maybe calendars or straddle or something like that. But at the same time, I'm very, very light on the number of trades that I have on, and I'm going to continue to tread very more laser focused, rifle approach than shotgun approach in this market on a trade by trade setup basis. Just because we all know that the pullback is coming at some point, and this has been, looking back, hindsight's 2020. This looks very reasonable. It did not look reasonable from 2346. That was 500 points, and we've basically been one direction. In fact, if you just look at that and just kind of halfway close your eyes, you can see, pick out the red versus the green. There's a couple here, a couple here, a couple here. It's been basically straight up for months and months. So we know we're going to pull back. So how do we take advantage of that? I like downside calendars to catch the volatility, straddles again, maybe some outright directional stuff to the downside, but I don't think we're quite there yet. I want to wait till we hit the all-time high there at 2940. And honestly, if we get through that, earnings season comes in strong, and we get through that relatively easily, then we're looking at even higher levels. So don't rule out a new all-time high in the next, I'd say 3-4 weeks. Best case scenario. Most likely scenario, we pull back, fill in some gaps below us, and then make a run, again after that. But again, be cautious. If I would be locking in some profit, taking some chips off the table, that type thing, at the level we are here, and be very selective on your new trades going in. But I would not run out and just short this market, because the momentum is up and strong. So just be careful out there, right? So hope this helps. And with that, I'll wind it up. Good trading. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you guys next week. Thanks.